So I've wanted to do this 980 for a while. This is something that happened to me where an injury occurred as when I was a captain, and it is, and also, I kind of take grief that I don't do anything Bricio, and there's this misperception out there that I don't like Bricio, and that's not true at all. In fact, I love it. If I could do one thing again, I'd love to go on a Type 3 strike team, and I tried to go on as many Type 3 strike teams as I could to get out, and my opinion, man, making mud or actually fighting fire was all fun to me. So yes, although it doesn't seem like it, I actually really like brush fires, and that's how I ended up on this. I was working a callback, and I ended up on 357 on the Sesnon Fire, which started in LA and then moved into Simi Valley in the Las Lajas area. And this was the day I almost killed my firefighter. And I know that's pretty dramatic, and I'm kind of throwing it out there that way on purpose because that's the way I put it in my brain. Because to me, an IWI or a Mayday equals the same thing as I either injured or I killed somebody in my crew. And none of us want that at all, right? That's why we promote to company officer and chiefs. We take people under our care, and not that I'm not saying we don't call things IWI and Mayday. I just, in my opinion, I don't ever want to forget what that means. And what that means is that we potentially injured somebody in our crew, somebody we care for, somebody entrusted to us to take care of. And so I am being a little dramatic on purpose because it's the truth. And it really is. And for me, and I think for many of us, by reminding ourselves of that, that is why we train, we drill, we read, we watch videos, we ask other people how to do things that know something we don't know. And we're constantly trying to strive and learn and get better. Because not only do we want to be the best that we can at this job, but we want to do the best job we can at serving our crew and protecting our crew, which ultimately means we do the best job serving the public. So, yeah, I'm being dramatic for a point, and I think it's real. And to me, again, that's what it means. So, Sesnon Fire. Sesnon Fire occurred 2008. It was about a 10,000 acre fire. In 2008, I was about 7 years, 8 years almost as a captain. So I was over that 5 year danger hump, about that 4 or 5 year mark. You think you know everything kind of, and you're like, yeah, I got this, man. I've been doing it, and then you start realizing, no, you don't, not at all. And so I'd made it past that in 2008. I was at the point where I was probably, I was over the safety hump where I was really paying attention and realized that bad things happen. And so I'm on this strike team, and we're out on the Sesnon Fire, and just for location, we're off by Las Lajas Canyon. For any of you that ever hiked up there, it's kind of off between Yosemite, Evening Star, and we were up in this oak grove, and you can see the circle there is where the injury occurred. And this is about the third one we'd come to, and we were going up this road, and we were securing the road where it was the line, and then we also ended up on dozer line and hand line, and our job was to secure the line, mop up within, put out. There's still fire against the line in different places, and actually the injury itself occurred in that red circle, but we were trying to get through and go through this grove to the back end of it. We weren't even trying to fight fire there. We were trying to move through that to get past it, and the injury occurred as we were doing that. So we had parked, and we were extending P line up through this oak grove. And as we got through the oak grove, we saw this tree, and the branch is gone. You'll see the branch in a second, and that's the one that caused the injury. But it was connected where that arrow is, and I'll show you in a second that tree. Or that branch. It had fire inside the branch. It was dead, but it also had a beehive in it, so it was pushing bees out of the end. And we had flagged it off, and that flagging is farther than it looks. The perception is off because of the picture. And we had marked it tree snag and bees because we assumed somebody else would come through here later and take care of this tree, and we wanted them to know. So we had marked the hazard, and we had purposely said, look, we're going to stay away from this tree. Now, the branch itself in question is this, and you can see this is a substantially large branch. You can see the fire on the inside. Well, this branch had spread across into this oak canopy, that this area was covered in kind of a canopy of oak trees. Now, it was a good 50 feet away from the actual injury site. And the mistake I had made is when I looked at this tree, I saw that it was kind of touching the other branches. What I didn't realize, they were all kind of grown together. So what happened was that when this branch actually gave way, it pulled the other branches down in the other trees, and that's what hit the firefighter, and that's what caused the injury. So the firefighter was found well away from the tree. This is on the other side of the grove. He was crunched up against the tree, like where you can see that hole in the bottom of the tree. And you can see the branches that have good wood. These are the branches that actually came down when that other branch pulled them down. And again, you can see this is substantial wood. This is heavy trees. What saved him was the fact that we were purposely moving as far away from that tree as possible to get through the grove. So he was actually up against this tree trying to move past it. If he had not been up against a tree like he had, I think the injuries would have been much more severe because those branches would have hit him. As it was, the smaller branches got him, and most of them, the bigger ones, kind of got glanced away or pushed away by the tree itself. So here's just a closer look of the area. You can see the hose line underneath that branch, and you can see up against the tree. He was pushed up against that tree, covered in branches of all different sizes, completely covered. And this is the close-up. You can kind of see the clean dirt area. He was pushed up against the trunk of this tree, again, covered in branches. Kind of the funny part of it, when I got there, he's got a giant black mark across his helmet. He's got branches. I'm ripping branches because the injury is down at the panel. I'm ripping branches off him, and I'm asking him, are you okay? Are you okay? Does your head, neck, or back hurt? Are your head? I'm trying to, kind of check his LOC. And he's like, no, I want to get up. No, I want to get up. And I'm like, are you okay, head, neck? He's like, no, I want to get up. I want to get up. And he says this multiple times. And all I'm trying to do is get him to just tell me where he's hurt and to sit down. And he looks up at me and he goes, Cap, my ass is on fire. I need to get up. And what I didn't realize, he was pushed down into an ash pit. So we get him up, and we end up walking him off the hill and down to the engine. And this turns in, and we start the whole IWI process. Now I get a firefighter. We put him in a Stokes basket. A copter comes, lands, picks him up, and I'll talk more about that in a second. And he gets coptered out, and again, 2 hours later, I have a new firefighter. I don't know where my headspace was at that point, but I get a new firefighter, and we go back to work. And about 6 hours later, we're on the other side of the canyon, and this is right before the other incident happened. And there's a tree, and this tree is a hazard tree, and I know it. And I tell all the crews, get back from the tree. And they're like, no, it's good. We looked at it. I go, no, get back from the tree. And they're like, oh, you're all freaked out now about trees. And I'm like, you're damn right I'm freaked out. I go, get away from the tree. And then I finally used some curse words, yelled at them, and they moved from the tree. And I kid you not, 10 seconds later, the largest branch I've ever seen falls exactly where they were. So the whole point of this, and really why I'm sharing this, is that, right now we have people on the canyon fire. Trees are hazardous. Trees are dangerous. And I think sometimes we underestimate them. And this was just another example of that. And I'll give you some lessons learned in a second. So lessons learned. The supervisor of the injured firefighter should not manage the IWI. I managed the IWI for a little while because I had to. And then even when other people came, it kind of still was in my lap. And I was in no headspace for that. And also, all I really cared about is I wanted to take care of my firefighter. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to manage anything. I wanted to make sure he was okay. I wanted to help him. I wanted to be there for him. And I was not the person that should have been managing this. And it also came into play in how we rescued him or how we got him out with the helicopter, because I would have made a different decision, I think, if I had not been involved. When there's time to do a better assessment of the hazards, take it. In this case, we had the time. We were kind of mopping up. We could have done more, and I feel we did quite a bit, actually. We really did talk about it, but obviously not enough, because I didn't see the issue. And then step back and take the entire picture. I think I tunneled in on the bees and that knot and the fire coming out, and I focused in on that, and I think I should have, again, find the immediate hazard, step back and open up your field of vision and take a look. Also, you can't always do this in the heat of battle, but in things like this, when you have time, engage the crew. I did engage them, but you know what I should have done? I should have stepped back and said, here's our objective, here's my intent, here's my concerns, what do you see? And let's look at it. We had the time. I should have done that, and I didn't. There are no warning signs when a tree falls. This is not a movie. This is not TV where you hear the tree and the hero yells and you run. No, it just happens. There is absolutely no sound. All I heard was, whew, and I turned and he is buried in branches. If he had been farther out where that bigger branch fell, it would have been, he was alive. He's not alive. There is absolutely, you will not hear it. If you think you're going to know and you're going to hear it, then you're a fool. It is not going to happen. I heard 0-0, bam, he is hurt. It was a third tree stand we'd mopped up. I got lulled into complacency, and as you start working through the day, by the end of the day, you start getting a little more complacent. By the end of the assignment and the deployment, you get, so again, don't get lulled into complacency. Keep your head up, keep everything open all the times, and always realize bad things can happen. Things can go sideways. The helicopter was not the best choice for evac, no doubt. So helicopters are a great tool, but they bring their own risk, and they should be used when they are needed because, again, they do bring their risk. I'm thinking, get them out of here. Sure, they land the copter. Well, when we landed that copter, it threw up a dust storm. It dusted out. We couldn't see anything. And now I got a guy in a Stokes back who's having a hard enough time protecting himself. In fact, the engineer and I ended up diving on top of him to cover him up while he gets pelted with dust, rocks, and debris. And then before we put him on the copter itself, I ended up having to dig dirt out of his eyes because it just covered him in dirt. That was not the appropriate tool for the task. And again, I think part of it was because I was semi-managing the IWI. And if I could look back, again, copters are great, but use them when you need to. They should not be the default. They should just be another tool in the toolbox. It would have been better to drive him out. He was not injured that severely, thankfully. He was more musculoskeletal, and we should have just driven him out. On the second incident, I waited too long to speak up. I should have said something sooner. Don't be afraid to push back when people don't believe you. And that happens to every one of us in leadership positions. We first off are kind of afraid to say something because we think, well, why am I the only one that sees it? Maybe I'm seeing it wrong. Nobody else is saying anything. And then the other part of that is that when people say, no, we're good, then you start kind of getting concerned about pushing back. Don't be afraid to say something. And when people push back even harder. I should have done a little bit better job in that. So we train, we learn, and we keep sharpening the skills so we're good at the job. But we also do it for those moments when things go sideways so that hopefully we can live with the consequences of the decisions we made. Being a company officer and a chief officer, but I really think that being a company officer puts you in positions where you are going to make decisions that put people at risk. There's no way around it. It's part of the job. And in fact, it's also part of the job that we can't get rid of all the risk, and things are going to go sideways. And we owe it to our crews and to ourselves and to the people we serve to always be learning and getting better so that, hopefully it doesn't happen, or when it does, we have the skills and abilities to work our way out of it. I think about this incident every day. Does it help that I feel I've tried to keep myself trained and in the know? Yes. Does it help 100%? Absolutely not. So, again, be a player in the game, be a firefighter, continue to learn and train so that these things don't happen, and so that when they do, that hopefully you can live with yourself. So, it's a dangerous job, and it always will be, and we owe it to everyone to be the best that we can. So thank you. Stay safe. Keep your head on the swivel. Always pay attention. Always learn.